Hey everyone, Courtney Rowland and Jamie McCoy, point that way, with me here tonight at the F Word Meaning Football podcast. So Texas A&M football, you kind of have to sigh when you just even say that right now, which is so, this season could never have predicted it. Everyone is depressed. Everyone has given up. What is there any upside at this point? I don't know if it's, the young guys having some playing time already for next year, but do these guys enter the transfer portal? Just what are your thoughts if you were a player, Jamie, for this team right now? And then also just as a fan.
Shoot. Okay. That's a great question.
I know.
Depressed is you hit it on the nose. I think there is upside though. I don't know why. I'm just an eternal optimist when it comes to the Ags. I'm always, oh, it's okay. We can do this or we can do that. But at the same time, if you just read this year, it's like, hey, this is about as bad as it's been in 30, 40 years or so. But the plus side, I would say, is all isn't lost, although it seems like it is. And one positive is, from the looks of things, we can't get any worse. It has to go up. Coming off of missing however many guys because of flu, because of suspensions, because of injuries, I feel like getting a little grasp of our team back this weekend and then going on the road facing a little adversity that way is going to be good for us. And I say it's not all lost because at the end of the day, if you can win, this is just the optimist in me speaking. If you can win this weekend on the road, beat UMass at home, and then host the top 10 LSU to end the year and knock them off of their high horse, that's gotta say something. You could end the season 6-6 at 500, go win a bowl game, and ride that momentum into recruiting, and then into next year. And then to piggyback off of what you said with all these young guys we've had playing, I think we're going to be hell the next couple of years. When you got a lot of freshmen and sophomores playing, and it's not necessarily like they're leaving early. If we can get these guys to stay out of the portal, I think next year and the years to come, if we can just get some O-line help and some linebacker help, we are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think these other coaches in the SEC know it. They need to take advantage, which they have been this year, but they know, okay, these guys are going to be tough here in years to come.
I definitely agree with you, and I am like an optimist to the extreme as well. But one of the downsides, talking about that again, this past week was recruiting-wise. A&M did lose a 5-star in Anthony Hill, which, that was kind of to be expected. A&M had recruited such a great class and have continued that recruiting progression. Losing him, though, he was almost kind of like the glue of that class. What are your thoughts around that?
Man, I had a good buddy of mine, Todd Glazeman, asked me the same thing. He said, man, talk to me. Give me some good news. And I knew he was talking about that because it was the day that he decommitted. And like I told him, right now, if you're a top 5-star recruit, in my eyes, I'd be saying, if I'm a linebacker, I'd be looking at the well-being of our team and saying, you know what, I can see myself fitting in here, or at least helping. I know once I get there, I'm going to be starting day one. That's how I would be thinking, is how am I going to get on the field and not have to, take my stripes and sit for a year or two and watch and learn and whatnot. He would know that he's getting in there early. But at the same time, I've always been a guy that said, whether it's a guy that decommits or goes into the portal, if you don't want to be an Aggie, I don't want you. But at the same time, that's a guy that we absolutely need his hand in the pile. So, like I told my buddy, if I'm a top recruit and I see how things are going, and you're in high school, you got people talking, whether it's family, friends, teammates, coaches, whoever it may be, they may be saying, giving them hell because we're losing and whatnot. But if we can get on a winning streak and show that we're capable and not all of our players are going to go into the portal, I think it can still be salvaged. There's nothing saying that anybody, even if he was to verbally commit to somewhere else, there's nothing saying that it's said and done. We can
Right.
always get them back. And there's been guys, I'm trying to think. I know we've had plenty in the past where a guy will decommit. You stay on them, you keep that relationship going, and then they come back once they see whether it's some more friends that are coming or things, the tide turns for us. So I don't think all is lost there. I think more than anything, it should wake up our team. And I know it's already woken up our fan base, and it should say, hey, we've got to get together. A 5-game losing streak is unacceptable, especially with the talent that we have. And like I said, I don't think all is lost. I think there's still a chance to salvage that. And if not that, I know they're working in the back on somebody else. They absolutely need the help. So it all starts this weekend on Saturday with Auburn, getting a win, getting out of this funk, giving the Aggies something to be happy about, and hopefully we can get them back.
Start moving forward. Yeah, I agree. And like I know with me, and I'm not even nowadays, like social media and everything like that. It's like, what great things are you doing now? So every kid wants to go to the school that's winning the national championship, which makes sense. But like you said, if they want the experience and the experience early, then you're going to go somewhere where you're not like third in the depth chart.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned Auburn this weekend. I'm pretty sure we have Connor Wiegman coming back over the flu. What do you anticipate there? And I know Auburn's had their struggles this year as well.
Yeah.
So two teams that are just fighting for, pride, I suppose, and the recruiting. What do you expect out of that game?
I mean, not to get off topic, but this game seems like my fantasy season. I'm doing terrible this year with all the injuries. I'm facing a guy that's also doing terrible. So it's like it's almost a turbo. But I mean, one of these teams has to get a win. I mean, we can't tie, So no, I expect us to come out there. I expect Connor in his first start. He had some great moments. He had some great throws downfield, but he also had some freshman moments where he missed some guys that were open. He missed some checkdowns and just did things that were kind of uncharacteristic. But for me, I chalk it up as a former athlete and say, well, he's a freshman. He'll get that figured out. So I think having a full game under his belt and then that one quarter that he had, I think, against South Carolina, I think he comes in here a little bit more comfortable. Now, granted, we're going to be on the road and you ain't got the home field at your side, but for the prime athletes, the 5-star athlete that he is, this is the stuff that you dream about when you're signing that dotted line, coming to a school like this. You know that you're going to play in big stadiums. You want to go in there and upset the crowd, silence the crowd. And he knows, I mean, all the Aggies on the team have to know the state of Aggie land and the fan base and whatnot. So we are itching for a win. I know that as much as we're itching for a win, these guys got to be itching 3 times more. Having to deal with coaches being on you and practice all week and the fans on campus kind of giving you the side eye.
Right.
I know that these guys have to be feeling that. And again, like you said, we're playing a down Auburn who doesn't have their head coach. We're primed to go in there and make some noise, make a splash win. So I'm hoping that he can raise his stakes and come out there and show us why he was so highly touted.
Yeah. I feel like the players have to get over either, using all the talk from the national media and just everyone in the state of the program right now, instead of like continuing to go downhill and like sinking in that slump and sitting in pity, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Using it to motivate them and start the upward rise.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So hopefully that they can do that. And I know a lot of that starts and generates from the top, which is, Jimbo.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being Jimbo right now and all the pressure, I suppose, and the media talk? Like, how do you think that he's feeling? How do you think that he directs this, or just what do you think?
I can't imagine being him because I know that's a lot of pressure. But at the same time, I know he's the type of guy that's not going to fold. He's been the same way, whether we were on the top having a 1-loss season or he hadn't really had his feathers ruffled. I know things haven't gone the way that he would have imagined this season going or had it written this offseason when he was looking at the schedule and seeing who we had and what the capabilities were. But at the same time, I think he's preaching the same message. Hey guys, if we go out here, everybody does their job, doesn't have any dumb penalties. You play with effort and you fight for the man next to you. We're going to come out of there victorious if we just believe in each other. And kind of similar to what I said to start off the podcast, he knows that this season is still salvageable. These guys are still recruiting. We're coming up on the early signing period, and we've had some recruits signed still, but there's still some hay in the barn. So I know that he has to be thinking, let me get a win. Let me get an easy win next week. And then let me prepare these guys for LSU and let me end this season with Aggies having a good taste in their mouth and ready. I hate to be already in the middle of this season thinking about next year, but I mean, it is what it is.
Spoken like a true player.
Yeah. I mean, all the talk is, oh, the Aggies, they've been in the bowl game every year since he's been here. So kind of similar to the Steelers, possibly not having their first winning season in a long time. It's still there on the table. We just got to go out there and do it. And for the lack of better words, go out there and take it.
I like what you said about, fight for the person next to you. I guess if I were a senior playing for Texas A&M right now, that would have to be my motivation, that pride. I'm going to end well. If you were a senior at A&M, what kind of message would you respond to?
Shoot, I think a better way for me to put it is if I was a senior, I would be telling as many of these young guys that are playing, I would be saying, listen, y'all, I don't want to end my season when the season ends. When you get to go to a bowl game, the good thing about that is you have about an extra month and a half to continue to be out there with your brothers. Whether we wouldn't be playing in a Premier Bowl game, which is always nice with all the gifts and whatnot, but at the same time, it's a bowl game nonetheless. And it's another opportunity to just leave a good imprint on the state of this season. Should we win out, fingers crossed with that optimism, we could end up 7-6, which is a winning season. I mean, it's not anything that we expected, but
better than
for me,
what we're expecting now.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I'm the type of guy that I love taking my lumps and learning from my experiences. I definitely wouldn't want to take the lumps this way and be staring at 3-6. But at the same time, if I'm a senior, I'm telling these guys, hey guys, I don't want to go out this way. I want to end with my head held high, knowing that I put something on for Aggie Land. So you got to stir these young guys up and just make sure that they're ready to send you out the right way. Because when their time comes, they wouldn't want to go out the way that the season is going themselves. So just get everybody on board.
I agree. So last week we ended the podcast with a Go Astros, and they pulled it off. And I already got my 2023 season tickets.
Yeah, awesome. Love it, love it, love it.
So go Astros and go Aggies. I do hope that they turn the page and turn the corner this weekend against Auburn. Well, Jamie, I certainly appreciate it, and I won't keep you from any more Thursday night football.
Okay, good deal. I appreciate you, Courtney. Let me know if you need anything. I'm happy to be on.
Hey, everyone, back here with the F Word podcast, meaning football, with Nick Harris, Rivals analyst, national analyst. Obviously, a lot has been going on with Texas A&M football, and we've seen the effects of that with this past week, Anthony Hill decommitting. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Anthony Hill, probably one of the more prized defensive targets in the entire class, in the entire country for most programs. And, that was no different for Texas A&M. Whenever they were able to land his commitment during the late summer, it kind of created a surge for A&M recruiting, and they've been able to thrive off that surge going into the fall. But, as the season has gone, it's been underwhelming to pretty much everybody, including inside of the program. And that's what Anthony Hill had kind of seen from players and from some coaches as well. And so he backed off of his commitment, and now he's visiting Texas this weekend. So, it looks to kind of be going the other way in talking about Texas A&M. But, the Aggies coaches are doing their best to try to get him back on campus and try to get him to maybe think about coming back to College Station and maybe sign with the Aggies on signing day. But they're going to be fighting an uphill battle from here.
What does Texas A&M have to do, you think, to gain him back and just keep the players that they have and continue on with a successful recruiting class?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's always the best recruiting tool is winning. But as far as Anthony Hill goes, I mean, if they could somehow weather the storm this weekend and not get him to commit on his visit to Texas, I think that would be at least the foot in the door. If Monday we look up and he's uncommitted still, then that's the foot in the door for Texas A&M. But at the same time, that's the foot in the door for a lot of other programs such as USC, Oklahoma, Alabama. So if they can get him back to campus and try to just start to show him why he committed in the first place, then maybe they'll start kind of inching their way back into the conversation. But as of now, they can just kind of pray and hope that it gets to Monday. And then kind of just talking about from looking around at what they could do down the stretch and recruiting in general. I mean, if they can get to a bowl game, that would obviously be huge. Go ahead and fight these last 3 games out, get it 3 really big wins. Having LSU at home, I think will really be a fun game. I think they can enter that game 5-6. I think the crowd will be really rowdy that night at Kyle Field. They'll want that bowl game eligibility, and that's always a good game against LSU. It's turned into quite a SEC rivalry. So if they can pull that one out, then, that's momentum. It's not the biggest momentum in the country, but it's momentum that they can take towards signing day and try to fill up this class. I know that there's still a couple of spots that they want to fill, but looking at it in general, they're going to have to go portaling for a lot of these open spots.
Isn't it funny how the tides change between Texas and Texas A&M?
Yeah.
So what do you think the percentage is of Anthony Hill committing to Texas this weekend? Like, what are you hearing there from 1 to 10? What do you think it is?
I would probably put it somewhere between a 6 and a 7. It sounds like that, Texas is going to make a really big push this weekend and, try not to let him leave Austin uncommitted, since they have a really good chance to go ahead and land his commitment this second time around. If you remember, they were in his top 2 with Texas A&M the first time around and almost landed his commitment. So, they're going to try to go ahead and hammer that home this weekend. They've done a really good job, even while he was committed to Texas A&M, with staying in communication and those sorts of things. But if I had to put it at a percentage, probably 6 to 7.
With Anthony Hill decommitting and possibly 6 to 7% or 6 to 7 out of 10, maybe committing to Texas, do you think the other dominoes will fall? And if so, who?
I think a couple of names that I'm starting to look at in the Texas A&M class that could potentially bounce out. I'm looking at Bravion Rogers and Javon Thomas, both high 4-star defensive backs here in this 2023 class. They're both taking a really hard look at LSU, and I think if they both were to move, that would probably be the spot that they end up. Looking at David Hicks Jr., he's going to be at Oregon this upcoming weekend. He now turns into the top-ranked defensive commit for Texas A&M since Anthony Hill decommitted. He's number 14 in the country according to Rivals and the number 3 player in the state of Texas. So he'll visit Oregon this upcoming weekend. That's a return trip to Eugene. He's always liked what he's seen up there. Dan Lanning has obviously put together a really good season for the Ducks. And then Oklahoma, that's another school that has just continued to push for David Hicks down the stretch. Before he committed to Texas A&M, everyone in the industry, including myself, had him going to Oklahoma, and then he committed to Texas A&M in kind of a surprise commitment. And, that didn't turn away the Sooners. They've continued to maintain conversation with him. So they'll get him back on campus for a visit as well. And then Texas is looking to get his 5th official visit sometime in December. But if Texas A&M can weather all of those storms that come in and weather all those visits and maybe even get him back to campus, then I think they can earn his signature on signing day. But it's going to be kind of an uphill battle to, keep this entire class intact. If we had to look at maybe the safest commits, I think Colton Thomason definitely signs on signing day. I think that's going to be a really big addition on the offensive line for Texas A&M. Looking at some other guys, I'm trying to think of other guys in the class at the moment, but it's kind of jumping in my mind. I think TJ Shanahan probably ends up signing Dalton Brooks, Damian Sanford. Those are just a few names, but I think they can really kind of keep this core together.
Well, we certainly appreciate it, Nick. I know you've already been at a high school game tonight, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about Texas A&M and
Absolutely.
the recruiting class. One last question, though, real quick. With Jimbo having one of the best signing classes, like ever, this past year?
Yes.
Past year? Why don't you think we're seeing all of that on the field?
I think it's a combination of things. One, I think, a lot of that 2022 signing class, they hit the field pretty early on. And I think there was, a lot of, high expectations right out of the gate for a lot of these guys. And some of them have met them and some of them haven't. I think if we can look at the bright spots that have met those expectations, Bryce Anderson has been absolutely incredible. Shamar Stewart, really like what I've seen from him. Evan Stewart, of course. And then Connor Wigman's really starting to come on as he starts to get more and more snaps and more play in this offense. So, but it hasn't worked out for everybody. And I think that's kind of, turned into some locker room things as well. And, I think once Jimbo looks at the roster after this transfer portal wave comes here in a few weeks and looks at the guys that he still has on campus, I think if you ask him, those are the guys he wants to have on the team anyway, just based on who has really bought in to the program over the course of the season and, who's there to stay.
Several people have said that to me today, so I'm believing it. Let's see. I think that was it. So anyways, thank you, Nick. Absolutely. I really appreciate it. And you have a great evening, and let's hope that A&M recruiting pumps it up.
Absolutely. You as well.
All right, cool. Thanks, Nick. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime, Courtney.
All right. Which high school game were you at?
Aubrey and Dallas Lincoln. It was like 70-14 final score. I forgot. I mean, it was that bad. I was seeing like a Houston commit, so it was kind of a laid back night.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. that sounds like a basketball score.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Well, get some rest. I appreciate it so much. Thanks.
Absolutely. Have a good one.